Hey everyone, this is Dan Violet Sagmiller, the lead designer and developer for Warp Wars. I wanted to give you an update on what we did during Sprint 9, which unfortunately wasn't as much as we had hoped we would be able to get done. And part of this was in relating to getting new systems set up. We're still going to be running into some issues trying to get all that wired up and taken care of over the next sprint as well, but hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit more done then. But let's go ahead and show you some of the updates that we've gotten in this time. Let me just go ahead and hit play. Now remember, this is the alpha site. This is our development build, and now it says so in the corner. I'm going to go ahead and pause the system audio. Now that should be a little bit better. One of the things I wanted to show here is that I've been playing around with the video systems a little bit, and you can see that we're starting to get different angles of our solar system. It used to be that it followed the mouse around, but now it's actually kind of doing stuff on its own, just choosing where to look in, goes in a little bit closer for detail, starts to look at different stars and constellations, flips around to different angles. It's a little bit interesting just to watch in the background, or at least I found it so. But most of this is just to play around with some of the video systems and some of the camera motions and translations, and really just experiment with how these effects can work out. But let's go ahead and log in. Remember, this is my old ASDF account. I've been using this every time, and all we've been able to do is add buildings. So if you've been getting attached to your buildings, here's a nightmare for you. Dun dun dun! They're all gone. Okay. So we ended up having to kill the buildings because last time, here's one of the things that we could do. Let me add a village garden. Village garden is kind of small. Any other building I place here, you'd be able to see it. Now, you could do that in the previous builds, in the previous sprints. You could click on here and you could add a mine. Oh, but now the mine cannot be placed there. It will overlap another building. Well, I guess technically a farm, so I might need to update the text. But how that text shows up, the message, how that's going to be handled in the future is all going to change anyway. Once we get a HUD up and running, the graphical user interface with all the buttons, that's going to change how we add buildings and all this. But the key issue that I wanted to show is that it actually is paying attention to things. So let me try adding a carpenter's hall here, for example. Oh, I can't do it. Now, a carpenter's hall, why can't I do that? That's because it's L-shaped. So let's add the carpenter's hall here, one space diagonal. You can see that it wraps around. I put this up here. If I had put this down here, this large block would have been right over it. And now it can detect that. Before it couldn't, and I definitely know that a lot of my maps had overlapping pieces, and I imagine other people did as well. But now with that out of the picture, the next thing to show is, look at the background color. Look at the vibrance of the green. It's not like a brilliant green or anything like that, but it's grass, and it's a very bright color. But over here, this garden really doesn't go along with that. It's much, much darker. We've been trying to experiment with lighting practices and formats to get that to work, and shaders, and nothing has been working to resolve it. This has always the background has always shown up much, much brighter than the actual textured buildings. We've been using FBX format. I believe that's an Autodesk format. And unfortunately, both Blender doesn't even work with the FBX files at all. And Unity, it does work with it, but it appears to have some things like how to affect shaders and stuff like that all covered up. You can't seem to work with it, at least not in any way that I found. But let's go ahead and add the actual general house. The colors are much brighter now. They actually match a lot better to what the ground is. Before, one of the problems that we had was that I was trying to tell you it was a thatch roof, but it was really a dark brown roof that we were seeing before. But now you can actually see all the stonework on the side. That stands out better. Once we get the colors and vibrance up on the garden, that's going to stand out better as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other angles. I mean, you can still see all the stonework and the shading and much better lighting over the entire image. Now, because it's a file format issue, we actually have to rewire up the images and the textures manually inside of Unity. where in the FBX format they would actually carry everything automatically. It'll take us a little bit of work to get more of the images and get this garden up to speed next and take care of some of the getting shading done on some of these other items, but it's definitely on its way. We're hoping to have some significant upgrades in the near future, so keep checking back. Alright, thanks.